What does it take to do a custom club build to make a beautiful set of irons like this with these custom Bettinardis? We're talking ultra custom Bettinardi stuff. We do custom Mira stuff here. We're dealing with swing weights. We're dealing with custom ferrules, custom shafts, grips, and of course, limited edition heads themselves. One, how do you get it looking this attractive? But more importantly, how's it gonna perform? We're gonna go through the process start to finish on how to build a custom set of irons that's specifically perfect for you. And more importantly, what are some of the biggest mistakes that club builders make?
I have the MBs up until the 6 iron. Yes. And then at the 6 iron, I go 6, 5, 4 in the cavity back. That is a lot of ferrules. I have my gamer shafts, but I did them in the special editions, which isn't really a special edition. It's just the black money tapers. So it's the KBS 120 money taper stiff flex. We have the iron head itself, right? Then we have the shaft. Okay, so there's the 2 big ones, then the grip. So we have the grip. There's so much more still. We have the ferrules, which we're gonna go custom. You can go standard black if you want to. We have the weights that have to go into the tip of the shaft in order to have all the clubs the same swing weight. Then you have the grip tape that goes underneath the grip. It used to kind of be, you just put 1 layer grip tape. Now we have so many customers coming in here that want 4 on the lower hand, 2 on the upper hand, 4 overall. It's not just 1 piece of tape usually anymore. A lot of guys are doing something funky. Then we're gonna have to take our epoxy, our 2-part epoxy, and our shaft beads. So we mix these beads in, these little glass beads. We're gonna have all of our tips and everything for woods, drivers, that kind of thing. We don't need that. We have our shaft puller. Biggest thing for the iron set that we're gonna be using today are these 2 over here. So we have our swing weight machine. Then as we pan over here, we have our epoxy curer. It's not a necessity, but this is big for fast turnarounds. Then as we get down here, we have our sanding belt, which we're gonna use to prime our shafts to get them scuffed up and ready to take the epoxy. Then we have our cutting wheel here, which is what we'll use to cut to length. All of these shafts are ready to go as far as the tipping goes. So they're ready for the iron heads, but we're gonna have to cut them to length. Okay, so what we're looking at here is KBS specifically has all of their shafts already labeled. So what that does for me is like, this is the 8 iron shaft here, the tipping of the shaft, which comes into direct correlation with the flex of the shaft. So you hear people hard stepping, soft stepping, that all has to do with playing a different shaft than the iron head. I don't want any part of that. I don't swing fast enough, I don't swing slow enough. I want it all standard the way that it's supposed to be. So I'm gonna take my 8 iron shaft, my 9 iron shaft, my wedge shaft, all of that, and put it in the correlating head so that it's made in the tip for the right head. Big mistake I see a lot of guys make, especially when they're just doing builds in their garage, is they'll just throw epoxy on this and put it in the club head and get it ready to go. The problem with that is this has this good glossy, I don't know what KBS uses, but the epoxy is not gonna grab onto that. So it's the same with like woodworking, it's the same with painting. When you're painting a surface, you need some to rough this up to get this down to that steel in order to make sure that the epoxy will grab in there, which you can see is nice and roughed up and turned. We need the same here so that it has a really good surface to grab onto and hold up. So you can see our tool here is from Golfworks. So this isn't like a Harbor Freight that we've made. It's obviously got the shaft holder here to make sure that I'm spinning in a nice smooth circle to make sure I'm not leaning one side or the other, which is super important on a graphite shaft when you're shaving just a little bit of that outer shell on. It's got the built-in vacuum, which we have here to try and take up as much of that junk that's getting hit, especially on the cutting side. And then it's got the ruler here if you need it. So let's say I'm trying to make a really quick build. I have the 1-inch mark. I could go right there, put it at the 1-inch mark and cut it and know that I'm taking 1 inch off. So I just ground down the tip of this shaft. I can scuff up even past the club head a little bit because the ferrule is gonna sit here and cover all of that, which is exactly what the ferrule is for, is to give you a clean transition here. We're gonna pop this on, measure it, and cut it to length so we can do the swing weight. We wanna make sure that our right-handed player, it's sitting right dead center in the middle of this, our yardstick here. Make sure that the shaft is going down the center of it. So right now this shaft is sitting at right about 38.5, which is obviously way too long for a pitching wedge. Every manufacturer should list the specs like this, which is huge for a build shop like us because lengths are usually pretty close to each other. But like lie angles, lofts, all of that is listed here. So for a custom shop like us, I can see the pitching wedge is a 45-degree loft. I can see the lie on the pitching wedge is, where is it? 64 degrees, and then the length is 35.75. So that helps me a lot if a guy's like, hey, I bought this. I think I bought them 1 degree up. I want to go back to standard. But what is standard? I don't want to just bend them 1 degree down, because a club like this could have bent itself a little bit after a couple of years of use. So to be able to go back to the manufacturer specs, and you can find manufacturer specs, especially for forged clubs, for a decade or two. So I can go on here, I can find the original specs, and I can build it back, especially the loft and lie, back to where it's supposed to be, out of the box, brand new. So the pitching wedge specifically is 35.75. So what I'm gonna do is come right here, 35.75. A lot of guys will leave that bird edge. Just take that extra second, make sure there's not a... You can run your finger across this, you can slide your grip on, and you don't have a little flake of steel that's enough to catch your skin. It's like the most frustrating thing as a club builder when I go to re-grip somebody's clubs or take their grip off, take their tape off, and then you get nicked by the tiniest piece of steel that's just enough to give you like an irritating little cut or even like a splinter or something. So now we got to get our ferrule on, because the ferrule's going to weigh a little bit. Get our club put on there, we get our grip put on there. So right now we're at D5.8. That I'm okay with. So I want to be around D3, D4 on every single one. Once we add our couple layers of grip tape, that should offset that and take that down, because every 2 grams is a swing weight. So for round numbers, let's say it's D5. If we took 2 grams and put it here, that would move this to a D4. 4 grams would take us to a D3. So the lower the D number, the lighter the head is gonna feel. So a lot of guys are in that D3, D4 range. Like me, I'm pretty standard. Trevor has some club sets, and I think it's because he's obviously got longer clubs, all that stuff. He's got some that are in the high Ds. So like D8, which is very heavy club head. So when you grab an iron set and you're like, man, this feels heavy. A lot of guys are like, yeah, I play a heavier shaft. But that what you're feeling might actually be the swing weight. So like, let's say we take this weight and we put it there. It takes it down to D4. But let's say we do the opposite and we throw it down here on the head of the club. Let's say somebody wants it even heavier, D8.2. So like, let's say this player wants D8, which we've done. We would even start putting weights here in the wedges. Your wedges are naturally gonna be a little bit heavier, just because the point of impact, the way that the head flies, but you'll see as we get into these other iron heads that almost immediately we're gonna have to start putting weight down here. An important step that a lot of people will go over is their epoxy. So what I wanna do is make sure that I have 2 amounts of epoxy of this half to half ratio. Now I take my beads, and then you just wanna make sure it's mixed really good. See, like this isn't quite grainy enough for me. I even want a little bit more shaft beads in here. So the shaft beads make the club head work like a ball bearing. So if you've ever seen a ball bearing, you have your spot where you're, like think about a skateboard wheel or something that goes through, and then the ball bearing, the balls are all the same size, which keep it centered nice and tight. It's gonna be the same thing with the glass beads. You have a shaft that goes into a club head, it could go both ways. So you see it's almost out, which is why, but just to accentuate, to make sure the shaft is not leaning like this or like this. Once it's in there, I still have a little bit of wiggle room. Those glass beads are gonna fill that and make sure that the club head and the shaft are sitting directly center of each other. Take this epoxy, make sure it's on there nice and centered. So I just put a lot of epoxy in there, but I'm gonna take a lot of it out right there. And then the important thing that a lot of people don't do is they just shove it in. You wanna spin it to make sure that it's actually getting every surface in there covered. Then I like to even pull it out a little bit and make sure I do it again, especially on a build like this. What's nice about the KBS shafts that I'm using is there's no sticker. So they send you a bunch of stickers to sticker after the build, but right now I don't have to worry about the sticker being back or anything like that. I can just whip through this build. Then I take a little bit of my alcohol from the pump here. These pumps are a lifesaver, and then I just make sure all of this epoxy is cleared up. Make sure it's seated in there good. So the ferrule's on there, it's looking good. But you see how that stick gets caught? There's a lip there on that ferrule, which is why we have to turn our ferrules. Not a big lip, but enough that it catches this. (212 degrees for 40 minutes, let's roll. You always want to check the lie angle once the club is fully built. Like you can see me, we're building golf clubs. Golf clubs are gonna get used and abused, but I'm slamming these bad boys down. These are soft forged clubs. So what I will do at the end of this build is go back into the loft and lie machine and make sure these are sitting exactly where I need them. Sometimes they come from the manufacturer a little bit off, so you gotta get them checked. Trevor, he's gonna play 2 degrees upright. So I'll have to bend his to 2 degrees upright after the build's fully complete. Our batch of 3 are done. So let's get these out of the cure, let them start cooling down. While they're doing that, let's get these ferrules turned. So what we do is we take off our sanding belt, we put on our linen belt, and then what we wanna do is we wanna run the belt and then just never stop moving the club head. Take a couple of paper towels, you can wear a glove. I recommend if you're gonna do the full, like if I was ready to turn all my ferrules, I'd put on just like a latex glove to make sure I'm not getting acetone all over my hands, but you want pretty much just a sopping section, and you just wanna swipe it in one direction. You can see it's taking off. There's a chemical reaction where it just kind of takes off that layer of epoxy. The other thing it does is it gives you a really nice, smooth finished edge. So right now I'm putting almost no pressure, but a ton of acetone. Just a very, very light swipe. Obviously you don't need to be doing this with a wooden stick, but you can just be feeling it. Like, feel that, Alex.
Seems good.
And it looks fantastic too. It gives it that nice fresh, because when we do that linen belt, it makes it really grainy. So now that you can see those pinks and blues, the black lines, like everything is nice and smooth. A lot of people will say I was moving it this way too much. By the time I hit it with that last bit flat across the entire ferrule and hit it with acetone, it's perfectly flush. Let's throw a grip on this bad boy. Over here, we got our grip machine, which is gonna help us get it nice and straight. Depending on the player, they might like it logo up, logo down. What I mean by that is some players don't wanna see the Golf Pride logo at the top. Some people wanna see down here, so they don't have any wording or anything. I use the Golf Pride logo. So depending on my hand placement, whether I'm playing a fade or a draw, I might tweak my hands just a little bit with my grip. I do the MCC +4 standard with one layer of grip tape is all I use. You can either spin it till it breaks off, you can plunge it in, a little bit of mineral spirits or grip solvent. You just want to make sure it's nice and straight to the club, which, looking down at the club, it is not. But what's nice here is we have this little line sling, which makes sure my 3 big lines on a Golf Pride grip, so down here, middle, and the back, I can make sure that the grip itself is straight to itself. I mean, that looks pretty good if I don't say so myself, this full set. A couple of the clubs are ready. Let's sneak over to the simulator. Let's just see how they feel.
Yeah. You combo setted these? You did cavity backs?
Yeah, yep. So at the 6 iron, we transitioned to the CBs.
Let me try your pitch and wedge here. Hate them.
How's it feel?
Pretty soft.
Now you've dabbled with the Bettinardis already, so you kind of already knew what to expect.
Just in the matrix though.
See if you can pick up like that rainbow on the face. Can you see that? So imagine that in the sunlight, dude.
Are they soft?
Yeah, really soft.
Softer than your gamers?
Probably, but I think that's more, that's a good question.
Actually, your gamers are already really soft.
My gamers are more of like that main frame, obviously the Strixons. Do you think forged muscle back is gonna be softer than something that has that main frame, or what do you think on that? What's your take?
Depends on the forging process and the type of steel they're using.
That was a little thin. That one was really soft. That screen looks terrible. It's a successful build. The only question now, are these gonna actually make the bag for Trevor and I? I have to stay tuned for a follow-up video on that.